Hello, in this video we will take a look at Knowmore terminology. What means terminology? Terminology describes specialized words or meanings relating to a particular field. So for us that is PowerPoint design and also just general work at Knowmore. Why is it important? Well, terminology plays an important role in understanding of context and specialized text and words. That way we can communicate more efficiently and have the same understanding of all kinds of terms and words. So let's take a look at the general terminology here at Knowmore. Admin is a manager of the tasks, so it's a person that you communicate with while you are on the task. Designer is basically you. It's a PowerPoint designer working on the task at Knowmore platform. ThinkCell is add-on program for PowerPoint, usually used for graphs. It is a company-specific thing, so not all of our clients require the ThinkCell. So if you don't have ThinkCell, just don't apply for projects that mention in the description that ThinkCell is required. Very similarly, there is add-on called Efficient Elements. Only few companies that we work for use this software, and it is not required. Help desk is very helpful web page or part of our web page at help.knowmoreplatform.com, where you can find all kinds of articles explaining different topics and you can learn a lot there. I will show you where you can find. You can simply go to our web page and you can just press the help tab. And now you are in our help desk. So here you can find frequently read articles, or you can go based on different categories. So for example, if you want to see some tips and tricks, here is many different articles you can educate yourself by and learn some new things. Now let's go further to the toolbar terminology. So once you get allocated to some task, you will see this panel that offers you some features you can use. First one is inspiration feature. In this feature, you can find creative structures and solutions, or just inspiration slides. Generally, you can get inspired by, and you can use these slides for tasks, but remember that you always need to adjust them to clients' guidelines and style. Then we have icon search. In this search, you can download SVG icons. You have possibility to filter different icon style, so that way you will make sure that your icons are always consistent. And as well, you can download their flags for countries. Then we have picture search, where you can find pictures in good quality. And we have content checker tool. We have developed this tool to help you check your content mistakes. You have to use this tool to final check the content of the slides you worked at. Now let's take a look at design terminology that you can meet with on the slide. So we might have something called action title. It is a smaller type of the title that describes a bit bigger picture of maybe some chapter or so. So it's usually at the top of the slide. Then we have the main title, subtitle. Then we have our slide frame area. That means that it's area where all the contents needs to be fitted in and all the shapes needs to be perfectly pixel perfect aligned to the edges of the slide frame. Then we have tracker. Tracker might look many different ways, but the general point of the tracker is to help audience orient where we are in the file, in the presentation. Then we have stickers. Stickers can again have many different looks and purposes. For example, we mark by yellow sticker optional slide. We just write their option. Or you can find stickers as an internal note from our clients that we should not touch. Or you can find stickers with instructions. As well, when you want to make your admin aware of something, you can write it in form of the sticker directly in the slide. Or there might be some stickers that are part of the slide, and clients might have even in guidelines defined how such a sticker should look like. Here is example of that, this smaller one. Then very important helpful lines are guides and grid lines that might help you with alignment. So as you can see, these dashed lines, they are called guides. There are two different types of guides. One type might be entered directly into the slide master, then you can't move them, and they are usually colorful like these ones. And another type is the guides that are just entered to slide level, then they are usually gray and you can move with them. And what we require from our designers is to always mark the slide frame with these gray kinds of guides, which are only entered at the slide level. You should never be adding the guides into the slide master. Then you can meet with the grid lines. You do not need to have this turned on your PowerPoint because it might be a bit overwhelming to have so many lines, but they can also help with some alignments, and they mark grid of these small squares. Then usually every slide has some logo of our client. Then we have footer, where are sources and all kinds of footnotes. Slide might contain legends that might be connected to some graph or just some color coding in the slide and similar. Also, position of the legend might vary on the client's guidelines. And then we have slide number. Let's take more look into the slide frame area and what kind of elements might we meet there with. So we can see heading, subheading, some body text or content, key takeaway box. It is a special box that carries the main key message of the slide, and some clients have also defined in their guidelines how this box needs to look. Then we have different levels of bullet points. So this is what we consider first bullet level. This would be second and third. And then this is how highlighted text would look. Highlight is usually made by creating focus with the highlight color that is defined in the guidelines. It doesn't have to be only highlighted text. It can be as well highlighted box or some other element. And now let's take a look at terminology connected to different types of files. First, we have template. Template is a preset PowerPoint style and layout that client uses as their standard, so it's kind of a blueprint for all slides. Then we have guidelines. It's file where all the company visual rules are defined. Inspiration is a set of slide examples that shows the client style preferences. Input is the main file received from the client that designer needs to work on. And output is result of the designer's work on input file. VIP, or fully work in progress file, it is not fully done work that is used to track the progress on the task. Feedback file is the file that admin submits containing comments and edits the designer needs to work on. Now let's take a look at different types of tasks. So first, there is a visual enhancement. That means that it is improvement of the structure and or addition of new graphic elements. In visual enhancement, creative effort is always required. Light visual enhancement is a term that sometimes you can meet with, and it means applying of simpler approach to visual enhancement. It should be not overly complicated. The creative structures might be a bit less creative. It can be simpler design, yet still very nice. Good example would be applying kind of general brush up, but adding icons. Brush up is general ensuring of alignment, coloring, and consistency across slides, followed by guidelines. No change of structure or adding elements in this case. Notes to slides mean converting hand-drawn notes to PowerPoint format. Image recreation means converting an image to PowerPoint format. And PDF to slides means converting content from PDF to PowerPoint format again. With the PDF files, there might be two different scenarios. Sometimes you can copy-paste the text from the PDFs, but sometimes you can also meet that PDF consists of pictures, and then you are not able to copy-paste the text really. In all of these three recreation cases, you generally should keep the structure as it is from the input, however, apply the brush up. But this can vary based on the instructions. Sometimes you might get a task where you need to recreate image, but also visually enhance afterwards. Then we might meet with task where we need to convert Excel to the slides. So then we just convert the Excel data and enter them to PowerPoint format. We might be recreating graphs. So that means converting graph into Microsoft PowerPoint chart or ThinkCell format based on the guidelines. And master template design might mean either creation of the template from scratch or edits on the master slide. Now we will take a look at some other design terminology. So slide master is slide that controls all information about the theme, layout, background, colors, fonts, and positioning of all slides. Layout is default format of slide belonging to a master. You need to go to Home, Layout tab to see all the layouts of the template. I can show that. So as you can see, I'm at home, and if I go to layout, I can see all of the layouts that this template contains. Then we have a slide, which is a page of PowerPoint. Slide frame is the work area inside the slide where content needs to be fitted pixel perfect on all slides. That means to top, bottom, left, and right. Image is a picture. So pictures can appear in many different ways, and they can be added as a part of visual enhancement based on the client's picture rules. So sometimes we can add picture as a background image. Some clients have rules that pictures can be added only into image placeholder based on the layouts that they have in their template. Sometimes we can find all kinds of pictures that are added as an additional information to the text, and in that case we just keep them, nicely brush them up to some nice layout. Icon is SVG shape that visually represents the content. Our icons always need to be SVG, they can't be picture format. Shapes or auto shapes are PowerPoint objects on slide. They can be as well referred to as different types of boxes. Placeholders, they are usually displayed in form of dotted rectangular box and are found in all the built-in slide layouts. Example of a placeholder would be title placeholder. They can be resized, moved, and edited. Structure. Structure usually refers to correct organization of elements in the slide that can support the message of the content. Structure should as well follow correct hierarchy of elements, so order of the elements needs to be correct based on the input. Even distribution means placement of the elements within a slide distributed in even way, or differently said, spaced in even way. Alignment, shapes aligned both vertically and horizontally. Spacing, spaces between shapes. More specifically, it might be shape to shape or even text to shape spacing. You can also meet with term white spacing, Example for this would be if your admin would tell you increase white spacing in the slide, that would mean that you should make bigger gaps between the shapes so there is more of the white space. Normally white spacing should be balanced so we use slide efficiently, but also elements are not overly cramped in the slide. Indentation. In bullet point, it describes the distance between bullet and first letter of sentence. It is an action that allows you to set the different bullet levels. Paragraph spacing determines the amount of space above or below a paragraph. When you press enter to start a new paragraph, the spacing is carried over to the next paragraph with the same setting. But you can change the settings for each paragraph. We generally aim for a consistent paragraph spacing that should be adjusted based on how heavy the content is. Line spacing is spaces between text lines. Usually we use single spacing, but in cases we need smaller spacing than single because maybe the content is too heavy, we can set spacing to multiple and set it to reasonable space. For example, 0.85 would be the minimum. Text should never overlap. Do not use enters to make more space between lines. Character or letter spacing is adjustment to the space between letters to change the visual density of a line or block of text. Changing this setting from normal is generally not allowed at Knowmore. Color palette or color theme or template colors refer to a group of colors that represent the brand style in template or guideline. You can see on the first picture. RGB is a model that defines specific color by 3 numbers. Each number stands for one color, which is red, green, and blue. You can see that in the second picture. So you need to define the number for each of these 3 aspects. Animation is a visual effect animating elements on slide. Transition is visual effect that occurs when we go from one slide to another. Straight line is this. We consider this to be a straight line, but sometimes we might tell you to use a connector. By connector, we mean this bended line. Chevron is a box or type of box that we often use for all kinds of processes, and it looks like this. Callout box is box that points out to some other area in the slide, and that kind of box might look different ways, but here are 2 examples how you can find out callout box or what we mean by callout box. Now let's take a look at some terminology related to the feedback and rating. Consistency. By consistency, we mean consistent alignments, placement of elements, colors, font sizes, and so on in one slide and also throughout all the slides. Jumping means movement of some element. It might be, let's say, title, heading box, footnote, or whatever element. Even your slide frame might be jumping, and it shows when you go from one slide to another. Content mistakes are mistakes in the content or text from copy-pasting text incorrectly or maybe misclicking something while copy-pasting. You might be missing some text, or you have maybe edited some text or corrected some text from the client input. So none of this is allowed. We need to keep the content exactly as it is in input. Rating tags are key positive actions or mistakes that designers did during the project that admin reports while giving rating to the designer. So this is done in order to acknowledge good parts of the job, but as well provide a feedback for improvement and learning for designer to become better. So you can find more information about rating tags if you visit our help desk and you go to the category of rating tags where every rating tag is explained what it means. Thank you very much for watching this video and I hope it was helpful. See you at the platform.